which means that if it occurred, law enforcement was 100% involved. They couldn't care less, and it proves my point that I was never present in any settings after I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity, and probably even before then, due to not being able to afford to do so, and after I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity, I was never present anywhere ever again. And due to the fact that my mother was working in fast food restaurants, and I couldn't even get myself to go to the community pool, which was for free, due to me realizing that I had to start working hard for her in any way, shape, or form I could, which I did so. And as soon as I could, I saved up money working two jobs all day, night long. I would call in every time this one girl would call out at Home Depot. Did everything I could, buy a car, take care of my mother, who couldn't even drive. So, yeah, the fact that law enforcement had to try to frame me for an incident that occurred at a setting where I was 100% guaranteed not present proves the fact that I'm telling the truth about me not being able to afford to go anywhere or do anything, and only working hard with my mother. They try to frame me for a setting where I was not even remotely present at in 2023 for a wedding incident that they themselves are criminals for. Anyways, it's the fact that after all the lies are caught, my dad, the greedy framer, and his framer sisters are being given talking points where they're basically being given things to say where when he was a child in the war occurred, someone said this around him. And as a child, children are not liable. My mother would not be around. If she was, I was an 11-year-old child when the war occurred. If she was, she would obviously cut it off long before she did, with after finding out about the kind of things that Uncle Joey would write online. And if you want, someone wants to tell me to verify it, I could tell you to verify it, but it's not YouTube material. But it's just the fact that, yeah. So that happened. They're not letting me talk now using ear drugging tools. No one likes hearing the truth when they're guilty. Um, so they're using tools to make me forget. So basically, uh, yeah. So children are not held liable, even if someone did say anything bad around me. And as soon as I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity, you could tell from the wedding incident, I couldn't afford to go anywhere anyways, and I never was. And law enforcement couldn't care less about anything at all. Um, so basically, the fact of the matter is, if anyone did say anything bad around me as a child, it would only be saying and not doing. And my dad, the greedy framer, and his framer sisters are being given the talking points. And 2011, he was saying and not, he was doing and not saying. What he was doing was calling people, giving them sermons, because people think he's like this guy who's got like all these powers. You can make your prayers come true. That's he's supposed to have like these mystical powers so he could make people's prayers come true, and he knows all these people, and they're just like, yes sir, like, because they think that he's got all these powers. He even knows people in Maryland that think that he's got all these powers. And I remember one time he called someone. I was in the 7th grade. It's pretty much all he does right now. It's no secret that he's quit his job, and like this mystical man with all these prayer powers is all the work he probably does now. And he uses this trial to get his gambling thrill, to try to feel like he's going to get all this money. You're not going to get a single penny, trust me on that. All right, law enforcement tortured me for so long to try to get me to help them out with Uncle Joey's sex game ads. Ask them if they ever worked. It never worked. Okay, June 29th, law enforcement asked me all day long to get me to make a deal with them in terms of money before my brain savant would get freed. You know how inclined I was to make this deal? Absolutely zero. Told law enforcement right there and then, you won't get a penny out of me. Early January, law enforcement had to start their guilty by association, and I knew they were starting their guilty by association because this Remitly ad, supposedly having money being sent to a guy who's not even in the same country. Very guilty way of asking for money. Only occurred on December 10th when the November 14th Savant test result came out, and started again early January, and I knew right away that it's guilty by association that law enforcement is trying right now. At the end of the day, when the dust settles, we'll all find out who was guilty by association. It wasn't me, it was law enforcement, okay? And I just told them right there and then, you could take your Remitly money ad and shove it up, you know what, because I won't give a single penny to anyone, ever. And those money asking ads, unlike the one money asking ads right now, were real. They were asking for money. Right now, they just try to ask me for money when they want me to settle down a little bit and feel like I'm winning, when they're fabricating and people are kind of believing their lies and exaggerations against me. But those Remitly money asking ads in early January 2026 were absolutely real. But even right now, like on May 2nd, 2026, at 12:48 p.m., when my dad is frantically calling me on May 2nd, not that long ago, those are real. And he's gotten caught with a lie, or he's found out that my brain savant's about to get freed or something like that. So those are real. Those panicked phone calls are real. He wants the money. And the man who makes people's prayers come true, on the side, he's obsessed with money so much that he's trying to get me to commit incest with his 300-pound, old, ugly, fart-looking sisters. Or you don't want to know how his wife looks like. It's a good thing she covers up. Let's just put it that way. Okay, yeah, big beaver teeth. Like, I'm just like, no thank you. I'm all right. I think I'll pass on this one. But it's, it just, you know, it's just like, my mother's like the exact opposite of this man. Like, 7th grade, he tells, like, he's got like all these people in Maryland that believe that he's got like all these mystical powers to like make people's prayers come true as well. So in the 7th grade, like, he tells someone to like call my mother up, and my mother like picks up the phone and they go like, can Hassan come with us to the mosque? And my mother's just like, don't ever call this number ever again. She just hangs up the phone. Like, I'm serious. Like people don't realize that if he had all these powers to make your prayers come true, he wouldn't be asking me through law enforcement on March 12th to fulfill his sexual perversions of sleeping with his old, ugly, disgusting looking wife. Okay, the man and his mystical powers do not exist. Put it that way. If your prayers got accepted, it's something else. Okay, well, anyways, the reason I made this video is to let everyone know about the fact that law enforcement might want to get people to argue against my brain savant right now, arguing that, you know, it doesn't exist and this and that, and like some guy the biochem exam from like right before I got my college degree would be like, I saw him cancel that exam. But law enforcement won't tell you is that exam I canceled for biochem right before I got my degree. I couldn't even spell my name on. And the reason was law enforcement was using such high potency drugs for amnesia that I couldn't even spell my name on that exam. And yeah, and law enforcement did that in multiple exams, which makes this guy's testimony claiming that he says that I'm stupid because I couldn't spell my name wrong is a false testimony, due to the fact that law enforcement was air drugging me with extreme amount of amnesia so that I couldn't even remember how to spell my own name. Like, they're using it right now. And yeah, I couldn't even remember how to spell my own name, due to which I had to cancel that biochem exam right before I got my college degree. And yeah, so this guy giving this testimony claiming that he knows that I'm stupid because I canceled that biochem exam is a false testimony, because law enforcement knows what the truth is, which is that they were giving me extreme amnesia using air drugging. They're not telling this guy the entire truth, and they're using his testimony, which is obviously false, because law enforcement knows the entire story and they're not telling him to give his testimony, which law enforcement knows for a fact is false, and they're not telling him the entire story. Law enforcement did that in multiple exams. It was only due to the fact that I knew that my mother was working so hard, working at a grocery store all day and night long at a Food Line grocery store for me, help pay for my exam fees, my food, my living, my everything. Pretty much, she was the only person I talked to. I literally never even lived in the same country as my dad, the Greedy Framer, and he might be given talking points that he has nothing to do with, where law enforcement might be like, "This person said this around him when he was a child." I was an 11-year-old child when the war occurred. And as soon as I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child, I was never seen anywhere ever again, except for with my mother. And we know this for a fact since the one incident that law enforcement tried to frame me for in 2023 while they were running their sex games and money fraud. The entire year of 2023, they were flashing me with severe mental torture every time anyone would talk about a wedding. I can guarantee I was not present in that wedding. Like a lot of weddings, like I said, sister's wedding in 2003. I was not present in a lot of weddings. And I can also guarantee that there would not be one incident of me ever speaking of whatever this incident was that occurred at this wedding from my mouth, despite me being watched 24/7. So that proves that fact and theory that I was never present anywhere ever, due to not being able to afford to do so. Whereas all these adults like Sohaib and Asad, where law enforcement was, all they did was cover over it, never asked their adult friends any questions, and never asked their adult friends any questions, covered over everything, said goodbye to it, and try to frame me for it as soon as they found out about my brain savant. And now news media wants law enforcement to get away with all of this. I don't know why, you ask them. But anyways, so in 2011, only one of the 3 times I've ever visited my dad, I was an adult. And my dad was giving sermons because people thought that he was this guy who get people's prayers accepted, while asking me on March 12, 2026 if I was willing to sleep with his ugly old wife. And like going into a frantic panic every time he thinks that my brain savant money is going to my mother, and this man who is responsible for getting people's prayers accepted lies again and again in court just so that my mother cannot get the brain savant money. And when he gets caught lying like he did on May 2nd at 12:48 p.m., he starts frantically calling me using baby names for me and this and that, and calling me over and over again like someone just died or something. Even though no one died, the only thing that happened is he got caught with another lie in court, and he's scared that my mother's going to get all the brain savant money, and he's not going to get any. That's all the story is all about. So basically, you have to realize the fact that in 2011, my dad, the Greedy Framer, was giving sermons to people who thought that this man had mystical powers and he could get people's prayers accepted. And these people were being given sermons on jihad, killing of innocent human beings all day and night long, every single day. And excuse me, and then like every single day, and then suddenly one day it stopped. I knew something happened then. I just didn't know what happened. Later on, I found out exactly what had happened. What had basically happened was law enforcement tipped him off and told him, "Look, man, we're trying to run our sex schemes and money fraud over here. You're making it really hard. Just stop what you're doing with this jihad stuff, killing of innocent human beings, and telling people to join terror groups right now. Till this kid's gone. When he's gone, he can continue again." Not law enforcement's job. They're supposed to be invisible. What they're supposed to do is send in people and try to see if he's really willing to get people killed, mass murdered, or not. That's not what law enforcement did. What they did was they tipped him off. Okay, another crime that law enforcement did, and the reason they tipped him off was because he was becoming a nuisance from their actual work, which is sex schemes and money fraud, which they're still doing right now. I bet their money's still being collected right now. So this was not law enforcement's job, but they did it. But till they did it, my dad was trying to give sermons on jihad and trying to recruit people for joining terror groups. We don't know how many people actually joined because of him, because people think he's got like these mystical powers and whatnot. But what they don't know is on the side, he's like so obsessed with money. He's trying to get his sister's first name with porn star's picture on March 7th and February 11th, and calling me frantically, calling me baby names, fabricating false testimonies against me just so that my mother can't get the brain savant money. He's doing all these things, like his big fat ugly old sister named Afreen sending me sexually explicit pictures of her starting March 10th every single day, try to get me to commit incest with her just so that my mother can't get the brain savant money after he gets caught with all the lies. Then he starts more lies after he sees that I don't want to sleep with any of these ugly old farts. He starts with more lies very aggressively. He's like, no, I'm telling the truth this time. And this time he says it really aggressively, due to which the courts are forced to retrieve every single phone conversation, only to find out that this time he was lying again. And I told the courts right away, I was like, Your Honor, everything this man has said, it was a complete total lie. Once again, you guys have been played for a fool. Once again, you guys have been played for a fool. And he was only doing this so that my mother could not get the brain savant money, with me being able to study not being law enforcement's job to inhibit in the first place. And it was not law enforcement's job to be inhibiting me from being able to study in the first place. So, which brings me to the thing that I'm making this video about, which is that if my brain savant is a lie, then you got to remember this lie was told by law enforcement, not me. So by July 1st, 2023, when I came back from Saudi Arabia, every single person knew about every single person knew they're making me forget. Every single person knew about my brain savant by July 1st, 2023, when I came back from Saudi Arabia. Law enforcement gave me a list of girls, and even then I was like, could be something else. Maybe you become good looking by now. And then they tried I would go in a Target store, and like girls would like stop in front of me, try to see if I was admiring their faces or not. It got to the point where it was really obvious. They knew about my brain savant, which I had only found out August 9, 2022, and this was July 1st. This was right after July 1st, 2023. Now, even May 2023, the girl with the 2 dogs near the Indian consulate in DC, she definitely knew about my brain savant. Lady trying to pay for my things in Walmart, she definitely knew about my brain savant, okay? There were way too many incidents for me to not know that people knew about my brain savant. You got to ask law enforcement yourselves. How many people did Hassan, me, Tall, about my brain savant ever once? Anyone that I told about my brain savant ever? One time ever? Did I tell anyone about my brain savant? And the answer is absolutely 0 people. None. 0 people I told about my brain savant. None whatsoever. So I found out on August 9, 2022, use something for 6 hours, you can't forget it. Law enforcement was hitting my foot right over here the entire time, threatening to break my foot because they don't like staring at reality for 6 hours. They can't do a 30-minute test to help save their life. They only do a minute-long test. Even that is forced onto them. They get the artificial intelligence report, do a brain scan in less than a minute, close everything up, like how it's locked up, everything locked up, and close it all up, run away. Yeah, we got the report, but we're not telling anyone, sort of thing. You know, a month later, they're forced to tell everyone. The report came out December 10th. For November 14th, Savant test result came out on June 7th for the May 10th Savant test result. And I know that for a fact because there was a girl in law enforcement. She starts stroking my penis over and over again that night, like literally 10 minutes after the report comes out. She doesn't let it go. Like last night, she was doing things like she would touch my tongue and then make my rectum feel like it was wet, and then she would stroke my penis, bottom of my front part of my penis, over and over again. Last night was June 11th. So yeah, it's just, and December 10th, they got a girl that they were helping stalk me. She hit my car so hard, I ended up in the hospital. They're making me forget again, using all these drugs. But my point being that if this is a lie, if this whole thing about my brain savant is a lie, that people were told about by May 2023 for the test results that were for 6 hours on August 9, 2022. You can't let go of something that's for 6 hours. So during those 6 hour time period, law enforcement had my ears locked up, like how they are right now, even more forcefully, so it couldn't move at all. If my ears go back, they go like this. So law enforcement had my brain savant fully locked up for 6 hours, but they were forced to lower the air drugging, due to which I was able to use it for 6 hours. And I used it for 6 hours. It was like an arm came out of my body. Law enforcement, obviously, I didn't think they knew, because I didn't know about the brain scanner at that time, but they had a brain scanner at that time. They knew, and they didn't release the results for 8 months. And 8 months later, when they did release the results, people started coming after me. Now, so the thing is, if my brain savant is a lie, then you got to ask law enforcement, why did they spread this lie? Because I didn't tell anyone. I'm not stupid to tell anyone. Imagine yourself having this. You've got one of the most rare brain savants in the world. You're a triple savant. Superhuman powers and innovation tested a few weeks before April 22nd. Photographic memories tested for 6 hours, August 9, 2022. Focusing tested August 9, 2022, which means that I could use it for hours and hours without my brain tiring. And superhuman mode tested April 22nd, 2022, where I combine everything, become even more super. And the powers increase over time. Tested November 14, 2025. You have these powers. Are you going to tell anyone? Obviously not. You're not stupid. You're Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. You got the golden ticket. You're not visiting the chocolate factory. You got the ticket to make your own. So are you going to be retarded enough to tell anyone before you get your own chocolate factory? No. You're not telling anyone. This is your secret. No one knows. No one finds out till you get your chocolate factory. When they get your chocolate factory, you call guests over and you're like, hey, look, I found out August 9, 2022, and I didn't tell anyone about it. And then till I got my chocolate factory done, now I have it. They look around. Do you like it? Sort of thing. Excuse me. Normal human behavior. You never tell anyone about these things, ever. Don't speak a word about it. So July 1st, 2023, after I came back from Saudi Arabia, everyone knew about it. Every single person knew about it. So how many people did I tell about it till July 1st, 2023? Zero. Absolutely zero people. How did these people know? Law enforcement. Who told law enforcement? Not me. Brain scanner did. Artificial intelligence did. Okay? So the fact of the matter is, yeah, I didn't tell anyone about it. So they all found out through law enforcement. And you got to ask law enforcement yourselves. Be like, when you told every single person by July 1st, 2023, how many times did you hear Hassan whispering into someone's ears, telling them, I've got a brain savant, don't tell anyone? Ever, once, one person. I didn't tell my own mother or my sister. They'll find out when I have it. And if I told them right now, someone might overhear it. And then, you got people like my dad, what kind of things he tried. See, with my sister, no. This sister, no. This sister, no. And then his sisters are like, you want to marry my daughter? No. The other one goes, you want to marry my daughter? No. Then on March 12th, you don't want to know. This guy is disgusting. Like, these are the kinds of things people have tried. But the point of this video is, how many people did Hassan tell about my brain savant before July 1st, 2023? And after July 1st, 2023, everyone knew about it. But before July 1st, 2023, I was being watched 24/7. How many people did I tell about my brain savant? Zero. Absolutely zero. I didn't whisper it into someone's ears. It was my little secret. No one was supposed to know. So how did they know? Through a brain scanner, artificial intelligence. Law enforcement told everyone before I told anyone. August 25th, 2023, 3 months after everyone found out on July 1st, 2023, law enforcement lost their big case, and that's when I told everyone, look, I'm a triple savant. I have superhuman powers. This is what it's all about. Law enforcement just lost their case August 25th, 2023. I want my powers. I want to be able to study, since this is what it's all about. And also, law enforcement has a brain scanner, due to which they know, because I never told anyone about it. So the fact of the matter is, if this is a lie, then this lie has been told by law enforcement and not me. I only told people after it was absolutely clear that they already knew. Then I told people. I never told anyone before I knew that they knew. And the only reason I told people after I found out that they knew was because on August 25th, 2023, 3 months after everyone knew about it, they lost their court case. And then I kind of figured that this is what they were fighting for, to inhibit me from being able to use my brain savant to study out of extreme envy, since until then, all they'd done was earn sex schemes and money fraud, which meant that I wanted to be able to study now, since studying is not a crime, and I wanted to study since that's what obviously they were fighting for. And now that they were caught completely, they lost their court case, I wanted to study, since I realized that this is something that they knew about. They weren't just locking up my brain using energy weapon torture tools, they also had a brain scanner, due to which they knew what I knew. And so I wanted my powers back. I was like, I want my powers. I want to study. I know what this is about, and I can prove it to the world, because all you've done since 2001 is run sex schemes with Uncle Joey's in-laws. And this year, 2023, all you've been doing is running money fraud and sex schemes the entire year. So I was just like, I want to study now. You've lost your court case, August 25th, 2023. It's no secret you know about my brain savant, and I want to be able to study now. And law enforcement were just like, no, we're not letting you study. And that's what I've been fighting for this entire time. If this is a lie, then law enforcement spread this lie, not me. I only said it after every single person found out about it. By August 25th, 2023, everyone knew about it. Everyone knew about it by July 1st, 2023. I told everyone about it 3 months after law enforcement had already told everyone about it. And then I told everyone about it because I knew that they knew, which is why they were locking up my brain savant and using all these air drugging. So they obviously knew, and that's what they were actually fighting for. And I was like, this is what they were actually fighting for, to inhibit me from being able to study, because I'm a triple savant and I want my right to study, because they just lost their case on August 25th, 2023. That's when I told people about it. So if this is a lie, then I didn't spread this lie. I didn't tell anyone about it. I didn't even whisper to anyone about it. It was law enforcement that told this lie. And the other thing that people have to remember is the fact that doing a 30-minute brain savant test is not in my best interest as much as it is for law enforcement. The reason is, let's say I fail this brain savant test in 30 minutes. I'm not superhuman. I'm not extraordinary. Law enforcement wins in 30 minutes. They win completely. Your Honor, it might be true that we might have run some sex schemes and money fraud, but it's also true that we ran an investigation. And the reason we ran an investigation is because of the fact that this man had been claiming that he had some sort of a brain savant, which does not exist, due to which his theory against us holding extreme envy, due to which we fabricated false testimonies and tortured him, does not exist, which means that we were, in some way, form, or another, even a little bit doing so. We were running an investigation, and it was not due to his envy that we were doing everything. They win their case in 30 minutes. My theory against them, that everything that's been done while running sex schemes with Uncle Joey's in-laws, money fraud with everyone that they could find, never doing an ounce of investigation for that, anything that occurred, like the wedding incident that they were flashing me with severe mental instability for throughout 2023, was not because of a brain savant, which obviously it is. It is due to a brain savant. They can't do a 30-minute test to help save their life. And the only thing that they're really fighting for while running their sex scheme since 2001 with Uncle Joey's in-laws and money fraud that are still going on till this day, and every single incident that they covered over, like the wedding incident that they were flashing me for in 2023 with severe mental instability while running their money fraud and sex schemes, was only due to extreme envy of my brain savant, wanting to lock it up completely so that it cannot be seen performing out in the open, because they had 6 hours of data for it from August 9, 2022, which they were forced to release after 8 months on May 2023, due to which they want me framed for anything possible, even if it's a wedding incident that they flashed me for with severe mental instability, so that they could frame me first and then use that as an excuse to murder me before my brain savant could ever be seen performing out in the open for even 30 minutes, so that they don't feel extremely envious of people like that nice woman at Walmart trying to pay for my things, due to the fact that they know that law enforcement is the one that's guilty for hiding all these incidents, like the wedding incident, covering it over, never asking a single question. And I can guarantee Sohaib and Assad were present there, never asked a single question. Instead, Sohaib was held with sex schemes the entire time, and law enforcement never asked a single question. Anyone covered it over, became criminals themselves, only to try to frame me for it in the year 2023 so that they could lock up my brain savant, murder me, and never let my brain savant ever perform out in the open for even 30 minutes. This entire theory of mine becomes absolutely ludicrous in 30 minutes time by doing a simple 30-minute brain savant test. You think I'm lying? You think there's any chance? Obviously not. Law enforcement knows what they're trying to hide. They know what the truth is. They know that they cannot win at the end of this 30 minutes. Right now, it's been 30 minutes since this video started. Right now, it's been exactly 30 minutes since this video started. By now, if they had done their savant test results from the time this video had started, by now, law enforcement would have won their case. Law enforcement is fully aware of the fact that artificial intelligence is not a liar. I'm not psychic to know what the results of the artificial intelligence reports are, and that every single thing that I've said about my brain savant is the absolute truth, and is the only thing that law enforcement is fighting for, is to be able to inhibit it from ever being able to perform out in the open for even 30 minutes, that they cannot do a 30-minute brain savant test for, even though they did one for less than a minute in Moscow, Russia, from a place where I could see the 3 Golden Globes of the Kremlin. And the reason they cannot do it is because I'm telling the truth at the fact that law enforcement, everything they're doing is due to extreme envy of not being able to see my brain savant perform out in the open for 30 minutes, despite only doing sex schemes and money fraud the entire time, due to the fact that this is the absolute real reason they fabricated the false testimony against me November 20th, where they fully knew that they were going to falsely get my dad's former sisters to testify against me. Since before I went to Russia, they were all panicking at the fact that I knew about their previous false testimonies. They got the 10-year-old child claiming 25 years later, in mid-January 2026, that I said bad anti-government things to him when I was a child myself. In elementary school, they had group chat false testimony coming out of my pharmacy school I had nothing to do with. They had all kinds of false testimonies against me, only due to extreme envy of never being able to see my brain savant being able to perform out in the open for even 30 minutes. A test which, if they win their case in 30 minutes. Do you think there is any chance of there not being a brain savant? Obviously not. It is there. They're the ones that told everyone about it, not me. Everyone knew about it by July 1st, 2023, but when I came back from Russia, Saudi Arabia. And I only told everyone about it after August 25th, 2023, because I knew they knew, and I knew that this was what they were fighting for now, since they wanted to make sure that my brain savant was enviously locked up so I couldn't study. I just want to study at home. Studying is not a crime. And yeah, that's the only thing I'm fighting for over here. That's all I want. And law enforcement, this is all they're fighting for. It's absolutely wrong to inhibit someone from being able to study, since this hasn't occurred since the slavery era of American history. And I've been a slave since I was an 11-year-old child. Okay, been tortured every single day with mental torture, all kinds of drugs. All I'm asking for is to be able to study. I just want to study. All these human rights concerns are being raised because everything law